Night 31. Night 31. And we are together. I'm just going to have a little sip of my tea. Okay. It's been cold these days. Hey, well, I guess it happens when you have a birthday in the winter. And then you're recording through the winter. So I've got my fuzzy sweater on. My fuzzy, wuzzy sweater. And I think I showed you this before. This was my grandmother's ring, right? I think I showed you that. All right. Okay, so tonight what I have for you is I have draft 2 and draft 3 of the same piece, and it's changed dramatically. So this is from my show, oh my God, which is developing. I can say I finally got a show. So I've completed draft 3, which means I've done, those of you who've done story work with me, you know that draft 1 is the draft that's all for you. It's like the great draft of just, you're just getting it out. It's like, you don't even know what it is. You don't even know what it is, but here it comes, right? And all your job is to show up with the pen or show up with the fingers and show up with the time to get it out of you. And you write and write and write and write and write until you've got nothing left. You can be as indulgent as you want. You can be as messy as you want. You're not thinking about the audience. You're just getting it out. Honestly, once draft 1 gets going, it's the easiest draft because you check your brain at the door. It doesn't have to make sense. You're just getting the damn thing out. Okay, that's draft 1. Draft 2 is looking at draft 1 and going, oh, what did I miss? Oh God, this doesn't line up. Oh, does this line up? What is this? What questions do I have now? And you just kind of fill it in, not to like complete it, because draft 3 is a really big draft, which is the one after. Draft 2 is just noticing the holes, and it's like darning socks, right? You're just making sure that it connects. You're not cutting anything yet, right? You're putting questions where you got questions, but really, you're just kind of, nothing gets stuck. And no gaping holes. Draft 3 is the big draft. Draft 3 is the one where you're like, okay, what the hell is this anyway? What does this mean? What does that mean? Why did I say this? Why should you listen to me? What research do I need to do to ensure that what I'm saying to you is actually worth reading? Right? And so I just finished draft 3. So in draft 1 and 2, I have this 8-year-old little girl who's haunted by a 13,000-year-old footprint that becomes the sound of this giant, what we think is a giant. And as you know, because you've listened, I got really pulled into the Morrigan, and so goddesses started to show up. So I think I had 6 different scenes with goddesses. So the Morrigan, of course, is 3. And then I had Hecate showed up and Brigid showed up. And Brigid, I think, had two scenes. And then I'm not going to tell you these 2 other really great scenes that I love that are in Act 3. So as I went back in to like, what does this make sense? What is this? I realized, okay, so now you've got a Greek goddess. You have one Greek goddess, one 3-essenced Irish goddess, Celtic goddess, and you have Brigid, who's also a Celtic goddess. I'm like, okay, so one of these things just doesn't belong here. I'm like, I need to cut Hecate. Sorry, Hecate, I have to cut you. And so I ended up cutting Hecate and I ended up cutting Brigid, and yet I moved them into the Morrigan. So what I'm going to read to you tonight is a piece that was Brigid that happens toward the end of Act 2, which is the great cleanup after this big destructive moment. It's before the 8-year-old girl is before the climax of the giant meeting the little 8-year-old girl. So I'm going to share that with you tonight. And I'm excited about it because it's really neat. Actually, I'm a total dork when it comes to writing, right? But I'm going to read to you the second draft and then what became the third draft. So, I welcome the story of me, who, as the writer in this space. I welcome the story of you as the listener in this space and the witness in this space. And I welcome the story of us, where we all connect. Goddess, author, audience, mythical movement of this time. May the story from these lips stir the glory of this night. May the stars we sit beneath remind us of our light. This is Brigid from Oh My God. Lights up on Brigid. Goddess witch number 4, Brigid. She is chopping wood to build the fire. Oh, yes, I see why she comes back here. It truly is beautiful, isn't it? Oh, and that light. Just as she said. Oof. Hello, sun. She tilts her face to the sun, as if listening to someone. Yes, right. She picks up the axe. Chop. I am 6,000 years older than the saint you know. I am not Brigid of Kildare. I am the womb from which she came. I am the eternal flame, the firekeeper of the hearth and home that lives within every woman. Chop. I am the daughter of Dagda and the wife of Bress. I lean over every cradle, breathe inspiration into poets. I am the hands of healers and smiths and the guardians of wells. My mother is Danu, the river goddess. I am home for every woman. I am the womb of her fire. Chop. As if listening to someone. Yes, right. When the new church came, so did a new cross, gathering the wood that she has now chopped. A church with a cross used as an instrument of torture instead of birth and protection. A church where a man with no womb is God, and not just a God, the God. Building the fire. Okay, so let's get this right. A wombless man births a son and then sends his child to die a gruesome death. Lights the fire. You're kidding, right? Blowing on the coals. It lights. A mother would never do that. Looking up. Right. Right. The giant is coming. Her fire will be ready. Lights down. That is draft 2. Draft 3, because we released Brigid from this draft and instead pulled in the 3 faces of the Morrigan and the 3 essences of the Morrigan, this monologue went to Nemain. So this is Nemain, wood for the fire. Nemain, the Morrigan face of battle. She walks over and picks up the axe. She's chopping wood to build the fire, miming splitting wood and building a fire. Ugh, it's always like this. Chop. It has been always like this. We have always been taken by force. Chop. Oh, this is not new. She is getting ready. Chop. Once we were revered. We were healers and seers. Chop. We were dangerous. We were warriors. We had lovers. Chop. And while we were raped, yes, they have always raped us. Chop. We were always reckoned with after. Chop. We knew spells. We had plants. We had ways. Chop. We were reckoned with. Chop. And while weak men took us, strong men fed us. Chop. But when the new power came, we lost ours. They stripped us, ridiculed us, raped us, and we forgot. And they forgot. But it is not forgotten. Chop, 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 chop. She puts the axe down and starts to gather the wood. When her trial comes, she will be ready, as there is much to burn. This scene is the setup for the climax. That was step 1. There's another step, which is the following scene, then another step, and then the big piece that we're pointing to. Thank you for listening. So, do you want to know what happens when the giant comes? Do you want to know? It took me a while to unpack what the giant is. You know, great stories are always surprising but inevitable. And to write that way, you can start with a clever ending, but it doesn't stay. But there was something about this that I just knew I had to go to. So when you come to the show, which you can order tickets by scrolling down to the bottom of this email, and you'll see it there, either the online version or in person, and you'll find out what happens, who the giant is, and all of that. So we'll see you at the show. But for now, we'll see you tomorrow night on night 32. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. You're the best.